Yeah.
I'm healing,
Yes.
not healed.
Right.
You know, that there's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't have anger related issues, and even if you're not a reactive person, there is a point that can be crossed of no return after a certain amount of time or experiences.
Yeah.
Where you going to see a whole other side of people. You know, I know a lot of people in my family have seen me angry like one time, and they were like, we don't ever want to see that again, because it was like something else came over you. I said, yeah. The calm person, the peaceful person can get to a point where it's not going to be a good situation. And you have to kind of ask yourself, as the loved one that's doing that to somebody, like, what is the purpose of that?
Yeah.
Like, are they just supposed to keep taking what you're given? You know, so it's on both sides. You need to be able to control yourself, whether you are receiving it or whether you are giving it out to people.
Welcome to the RePsychled podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Welcome back to session 134, How to Stop Being Reactive. Today's mood music is brought to you by Ludacris, and the song is entitled Get Back.
Motherfucker, you don't know me like that.
Yeah, Dr. Strickland on one.
That came out of nowhere.
It's going to get an explicit rating. I had to make sure I tap that on
There
the
you go.
thing.
This is for adults and adults only.
Okay, so I got to get my thoughts together. Okay. So this is basically you really not thinking before acting, basically. So emotional reactivity happens when you feel angry, when you feel hurt, when you feel stressed out. Like I said, you don't think about it.
Yeah, impulsivity.
Yes. So
I almost did something, but I was like, no, that might scare y'all.
again,
I was getting ready to do. You remember when Iyanla had said, "Not on my watch"?
Yeah, don't do that.
But I was like,
Please
let
don't
me
do
not
that.
do
don't
that.
shake my spirit.
Yeah, I was like, let me not
right,
do that.
you know my little stand of
Yeah,
fall.
I was like, that might be a bit much.
Well, what do reactive people spend time focusing on?
Other people. You know, I think reactive people, they are so, let me reframe that. I think they focus a lot on other people, but it's from a selfish place. Right?
Okay.
Because I'm worried about what you did to me. So I'm going to focus on whatever you said or what you did.
There is definitely a shift in their locus of control and their locus of responsibility, focus, like all these locuses that loci is what it really is, that we've talked about previously. And it shifts to the external things and not want to ever experience that again. And so in order for them not to experience that stuff again, they're going to get you before you get them, which comes to reactivity.
Yeah, and I think they focus on blame. They blame everybody else except for taking responsibility for whatever their part was.
Even if it's to distance themselves from the bad situation. Sometimes people are not, you can't fix them. Right. And it's okay to walk away.
Right. So I think that when people are reactive and they don't think before they speak, it causes a domino effect. So, and then they want to get upset because you reacted to
How dare you?
to their energy.
Even if you respond, sometimes they become upset.
Exactly.
I've literally had someone come at me crazy and I respond to them and I was calm. Maybe that was what scared them, but I was like, I really don't like the way you're talking to me and I think it's mad disrespectful and I suggest you reword what you're saying. So maybe that was scary to them.
They said, oh, you reacting.
Came over me. But I was like, the only other option was to like knock their head off their neck. And I don't think that was appropriate.
Do you guys think that reactive always is big?
Oh, no.
No, because I think there can be some vindictive people, malicious people,
little bitty, like the stereotypical mean girl. She gonna do little bitty stuff all the time, and then eventually it does, become bigger and is an issue. But I don't think it always got to be something big. I think it's more how you can tell the difference between reactiveness and responsiveness is more so, am I doing this in a healthy manner for myself, and am I doing this in a healthy manner for whatever the relation is that you have with the person?
What about you?
No, I don't think it always can be big. I think the big reactive is what more people are going to be recognize versus, like you said, the like small kind of nitpicky type stuff. But I definitely think that it's easier for people to hold you accountable with the big reaction,
of course,
versus the little small.
I think big reactive people are cowards. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times it's almost like, some of the celebrities or rappers or whatever we see that got the gold chains and but it ain't real. Like they have these big explosive, reactions so that people won't test them to fight because you scared because you already.
Oh, you remember who had a skit on that? Was it Kevin Hart? They had a skit on like how you like how you act real wild.
Yes, that was
they won't fight you. I agree with that. Somebody that I think that, of course we don't know this individual, so we're only going by their online persona. Go ahead and put that out there. I think Chris Brown is very reactive. I think he's over the years.
Talk about my Chris.
I know. I think
it's
over
okay
the years,
for you to love him if you want to.
Over the years, I think he has calmed a lot. As he's matured into adulthood. So I definitely think he has calmed a lot. But you can still see bits and pieces of that reactivity
still
come
there.
out.
Like when this whole situation, I can't remember what the award show was, but the situation between himself towards Robert Glasper, and he was like, who the F is Robert Glasper? Not realizing that this man been doing big things for longer than this man has been alive. Robert Glasper is a big name in the music industry, and it kind of is sad when, number one, this is a fellow black man, a fellow black Chris ain't a musician, but Robert Glasper is, and he does all this great work. And instead of you doing your research, fact checking, because Google is free, you blast this all over your social media, and then you get your whole group of people to go and kind of stalk this dude and saying, you really have to be mindful when anybody, but especially when you are a celebrity, what your influence can do to the world.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I would say DaBaby was another person that was very reactive, but violently reactive.
See where you're at now.
Yeah, because there's a difference between being verbally reactive and then being physically reactive.
Yeah.
They both can get you in trouble, but sometimes, the physically reactive is gonna write a check that your behind ain't ready to cash. And I don't necessarily subscribe to cancel culture, but that is an area where it actually, they walked it all the way through. Like, for a different reason. Yeah. I know it was because some of the things he said, not necessarily because of the things he did. But, if you consistently react to people based off pure, unfiltered emotion, your chances of being successful are going to be severely limited.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what is going on within these individuals' minds to think that there should be no repercussion. There should be no cause and effect once you do something. Like you don't get to just treat anybody any kind of way, and they just supposed to take that.
Do you think that some of these reactions, and y'all know I love Chris, and I'm not trying to take up for him, but do y'all think that some of these reactions can be a trauma response?
I definitely agree to that, but that don't give nobody a free pass. I mean, if we go back to the incident that everybody remembers with him and his ex Rihanna, both of them come from the same background. You know, both of them grew up in some very tumultuous family systems, saw a lot of stuff that we know our babies should not ever see. And because like attracts like, they gravitated towards each other. Mm-hmm. And that's why when he had his response, she had her response, and they had to go their separate ways. But that is going to probably follow that man for forever, even though he was a teen when it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
That's unfortunate.
It is,
especially when people don't. And I don't know if he got counseling or if any.
I think he ended up, because it later came out that he also was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and some other things.
Oh yeah,
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, but that's the thing. That's why when you have trauma, when you have anger, when you have diagnoses, you need to make sure that you're in therapy. Even if you don't stay in therapy like for years upon years upon years, but you need to make sure you have a therapist on speed dial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to liken it to this. So imagine, you get your teeth in, okay? And when you get your teeth in, your mama is supposed to make you an appointment for your first dentist appointment.
Yep.
Okay? So imagine if you do that. But after that first one, you decide you're not going to go back. You're not even brushing your teeth right. So eventually you become like one of these people we see on social media with the built up tartar. Mm-hmm. It done calcified. That means it's hardened. Okay. It done calcified. And now you got to go in and get a deep debridement where it's like
in your gums.
Situation with with Martin when they was working on the feet.
You got to
do that in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what ends up happening when we do not take care of our mental, emotional, spiritual, physical health.
Yeah,
we end up having this buildup that is going to take some serious work, or it's about to implode or explode around us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work out well.
No.
Yeah. And I think people also, as the individual, you definitely got to do your work. So I'm not going to negate what the individual needs to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that the people around the reactive individual, you have to understand that this person, if they have not started doing whatever emotional work to kind of heal themselves, that you can't just keep nagging at them, poking at them, and pushing them if you already know that they are reactive.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they've worked on themselves, it's still there. It just needs to be poked the right way for it to come out.
Yeah.
I'm healing,
Yes.
not heal.
Right.
That there's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have anger related issues, and even if you're not a reactive person, there is a point that can be crossed of no return after a certain amount of time or experiences.
Yeah.
Where you're going to see a whole other side of people.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people in my family have seen me angry like one time, and they were like, we don't ever want to see that again, because it was like something else came over you. I said, yeah. The calm person, the peaceful person can get to a point where it's not going to be a good situation.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to kind of ask yourself, as the loved one that's doing that to somebody, like, what is the purpose of that?
Yeah.
Like, are they just supposed to keep taking what you're given?
Mm-hmm.
So it's on both sides. You need to be able to control yourself, whether you are receiving it or whether you are giving it out to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because there does become a moment where you cross the line as the person giving it into being a bully.
Yes. That
straight up abusive.
Yeah. And then if you are engaging in bullying like behavior, then don't be surprised
if we call you a coward.
And the reactive person start reacting on that tail.
Yep. So how do y'all think a reactive person can reduce that impulsive response or reaction?
I think one of the things, like I said in the previous session, is, understanding what's going on with yourself, like the awareness, being able to identify what exactly is happening, and then also being able to process through it so that you understand the nuances of this experience that you're going through. Because it's not just happening one time. This is, happening pretty consistently. Obviously, if you have gotten to a place where you're just reactive.
Yeah. I think another thing would be like assertiveness training. If you're in therapy, like having somebody help you learn how to use your words. Because a reactive person, even if they're verbally reactive, they're not using the words. The words are just kind of verbally falling out of their mouth. So somebody that can teach you emotional language so that you know how to actually identify the thing that you're feeling so that you can communicate the more accurate emotion.
And I would say two things. One, enlarge your emotions vocabulary so that everything is not described as anger. And so then the second thing is you don't feel heard because they're not addressing the right emotion, but you're not describing the right emotion.
Yeah. To piggyback on what Dr. Strickland said, I think getting some conflict resolution, fair fighting training is very healthy. There are definitely a number of handouts, worksheets. I'm sure there are some YouTube videos out there that can help describe what that is. Because we don't just innately know these things.
Right.
We know we want to be accepted and loved on and that sort of thing, but we don't understand like the nuances of this is how you do this is how you do that, this is how you do this. Like we don't know that. And it looks a little different for each person you interact with.
Absolutely.
Like me, I'm not a person, don't come talk to me crazy. Like, I don't like that. Come talk to me, have your thoughts together. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. It's not a matter of like, if I did something wrong, but if you talking to me crazy, I'm automatically like, I must get you now,
Yeah. Understandable.
And know how it feels in your body to be at that point where you're ready to react. Because once you know how it feels in your body, as it's leading up to it, you know what you need to do to prevent that from happening, whether or not you need to walk away, whether or not you need to end the conversation, whatever it is, you know what you need to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think some other things for the interns are learning how to ground yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course.
That allows you to get in contact with the environment that you are in. Now, if it's a toxic environment, no, don't ground yourself in it, y'all. We're talking about safe spaces. Also meditation, yoga, just things that help you feel your body, be present in it, and also know how to emotionally regulate as things happen to it.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Any final thoughts? All right. Well, y'all know we always end off with a quote.
Today's quote comes from Buddha. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one that gets burned.